witnessing a circus performer flash mob, and of course the Just for Laughs comedy festival. In between, we explored city parks and museums and had so much fun that by the time we left, one of us was pregnant. I'll let you guess which one. We came back the following year, this time with our barely 3-month-old daughter, Alyssa, and spent about 2 months in a neighborhood called Le Plateau Mont-Royal. For the few years before that summer, I had been thinking of putting down some roots somewhere, but I hadn't yet found a place that felt right. Now that I had a family, establishing roots was on my mind more than ever. I had never before considered buying a home outside of my country of birth, especially not my first home, but that city reaffirmed our love for a city full of art and culture, and for each other. We wanted to own a piece of it and be a part of it. Some very effective signs around the neighborhood and curiosity led us to pop into a local real estate office on a goof. I can only imagine how we appeared when we walked in, an English-speaking American couple pushing a stroller, but the agent took the time to show us some properties anyway, and he guided us through the French-Canadian real estate process. By the time we left town, we owned a small condo in a wonderful neighborhood. It would be years before we had an opportunity to use it, which is ironic, as our initial intent was to drop some roots, but that is where I am now. Last month, after spending a few years away from Montreal, my family drove halfway across the United States and returned to the city and condo we'd fallen in love with for the purpose of my writing this book on weight management. And yes, it is great to be here, although, after having indulged in a few poutines, I am starting to question that decision. 1. 3 books. Who am I, anyway? You can probably tell from what I've written so far that I've moved around a lot, and in more than one way. I've changed careers almost as often as I've changed zip codes. One time, while on stage, I asked a man in the audience what he did for a living, and he told me he was a limousine driver. So I asked him how he got into that, and he said, "Believe it or not, I used to drive a taxi." Do you need the phrase, "believe it or not," in this situation? I think that's a pretty obvious career path. I would have also accepted bus driver. Save the phrase, "believe it or not," for when you have something truly unbelievable to tell me, like, "Believe it or not, I used to be a wet nurse." Believe it or not, I am just a typical psychologist turned comedian turned public speaker turned author turned wet nurse. That actually sounds like a ridiculous career path when I lay it all out in a single sentence, and it would even if I cut out the one that isn't true, but living it felt a lot more organic. I was the first person on both sides of my family to go to college. My parents had suggested I go to trade school or follow in the family tradition and join the military, but being the rebellious kid I was, I decided to enroll at the University of Texas at Austin. When I started, I had no idea what kind of career I wanted to pursue, and that may help explain my path a bit. I wanted to be an artist, writer, and comedian, but I knew those roads would be difficult to follow and didn't require advanced education, so I took classes in whatever interesting subjects fit my schedule until it was time to pick a major. I settled on psychology because I had accumulated more credits toward that degree than any other, and I was fortunate to meet and learn from some professors whose work continues to influence me today. I graduated and went on to earn a doctorate, because if I'm going to be the first in my family to do something, I'm going to make damn sure I go the distance. Now armed with several diplomas from prestigious universities, all with the word psychology on them, I've done a lot of different things as a psychologist. I've been a consultant, a professor, and even a therapist. I had to quit that last role because I got really sick of listening to people whine about their problems. Always with the yak, 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 and I'd be thinking, "Shut up. You're not going to do what I'm going to tell you anyway. Give me your money and let's go home." Actually, that's just a joke. I was never a therapist. I never wanted to go that route. However, I did want to make people laugh. I've always wanted to, but I never put any effort into doing so professionally until after I finished my doctorate degree. That was important for me to get first, because I figured I needed a